All right. Let's get that. Let's set this. Bam. There. Click that. Let's see. Got the, yep, live response is up. So I got the live chat going. We got the on screen. That's all set. As far as I could tell, all the settings are correct. And we should be good to go. The only thing, we will, of course, do a mild channel update. So, in terms of the channel update, 2 videos are already posted and are going to be going live over the course of the next 2 days. There is a 3rd video already edited, a 4th video edited, so those will be going up. So that should cover basically the entire week. And there are 3 top 10 lists and 1 top 5 list coming out, because we're nearing the end of the year and I'm kind of doing something else as I clean the shelves this year. We're kind of talking about like top 10 of this and that and whatnot, and kind of going through that scenario rather than what we've done for a while. Because for a while now, you know that we've done simple stuff. We've done like where I take everything off the shelf. We talk about what stays and what goes. We're still kind of doing that, but a lot of the what goes is starting to move to some of the shorts and the quicker updates, freeing up space to do bigger presentation videos. And the one that I just kind of thought of for this time would be like Marvel Legends. So we have a top 10 best Marvel Legends, and then we have a top 10 X-Men Marvel Legends, top 10 Spider-Man Marvel Legends, and then we have a top 5 worst Marvel Legends in the collection, and then we might look at other things as we go. But currently, as you could tell, I've wiped out a whole bunch of the shelf. That's because right now everything's coming down. It's being sorted into kind of units: X-Men, Daredevil, Fantastic Four, things of that nature, and then they're going to go back up into positions. I also opened up two secondary shelf spaces, one for more of my classic hero things that are gonna sit up. You can't see it right now, but up there is the Batmobile 66 at the very top shelf over here. And that is where I'm going to put some of my more classic characters, like my Captain Thunder and things of that nature. They're going to go up there with the more kind of 60s, 50s, 40s era type of guys. I just think that'll be kind of cool because they'll be up there with like the older Batmobile. And then I also took the Batcave background, which isn't really usable for a lot of the photos and things like that, but does make a cool backdrop for a more classic era figures shelf for a lot of the McFarlane things. So as I add to that, I'm not losing space. I can easily transfer them over there. Also, I have been working a lot more on the actual editing. It's been a slow process, but I have been getting back in and getting it and kind of making those videos and putting them up. So that's currently how those items are going. Let me see if I can fix this real quick. There's that. That's set, so the vote's up. That's all set up. We're live. Things are running. Let me double check this. Yeah, I think that might be it for the channel update. Like, I'm kind of looking through the files and whatnot, seeing if anything like pops out at me. Like, I'm very, very behind in terms of the editing. I'm currently editing the chapters for the 9.3. So yeah, we're like what, 2 months behind? But I am finally getting them done. So all those chapters will be going up. And then like like I said, in the current, I have the stuff that's already set to go and things like that, like 4 different videos that are already edited and ready to go. And now we're starting to chip in actual videos in the middle of that, as well as kind of getting some of the other stuff finally up and running, like some of the shorts and things of that nature. And that is pretty much the entirety of the channel update. Now, I haven't actually shared this yet. Hold on. I got something here. What's this? I will have to look into that here soon. Gotta answer a text. Gotta do that. Can't. But I'll be right with this. This is kind of important. The holiday stuff is still kind of hitting, so I'm trying to plan out where my weekend goes and like how I handle my kid, because of course one of us has a holiday and so on and so forth. But it's one parent's weekend, one parent's holiday, so I'm answering that, and then we're right back to it. There, that's set. Don't sneeze. Oh, I'm trying to stop it. Okay, there, no sneeze. All right, but that should be all of it. That's all the update information and everything, and so we should be, quote, off to the races, as it were. Hey, what's going on, man? I did a couple of shorts today that talk about like 3 different items that were added to the show. If we're being perfectly honest, there's about 5 or 6 items that were added to the show, and I just got notice this morning that my Emma Frost has shipped. So my X-Men 97 Emma Frost is finally on the way. That thrills me. Like, it really honestly thrills me, because that figure looks great. That looks like it's going to be a massive improvement over the last one. I'm really, really hoping that that's true. I saw also that they've added E Honda, if I'm not mistaken. He has actually been added to Big Bad. Let me go over there and check that real quick, make sure that I'm not wrong. Yes, he has been added to Big Bad, so E Honda is finally on the market, and he has dropped at 34, which I guess I shouldn't be too surprised, because alongside that, if I'm not mistaken, Sagat was 34, and I also believe Blanco was 34. I don't remember Bison. Bison was 25, I think. So we're into the point now where either the characters are so big they're starting to require that extra price, or because of the price change, we're seeing 34 as the bigger figures now, because I think even the regular figures have now kind of evened out to become 30 in terms of the Jada House, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. And in terms of that, I am almost 100% sure. I don't think I'm missing anything Jada-wise. Yeah, I had stuff already ordered all the way up to Balrog. So I don't have that problem. The only thing I'm technically missing is E Honda. I did not put him on order. I guess it wouldn't hurt me to do so, but I have not yet. I'm still kind of playing in the aspect, my money is not perfect right now. I know that. I'm waiting for that Sentinel to drop, And him being pushed back has kind of screwed up a lot of my planning in terms of my money. I need that to pan out better. Because my money that was accounted for that, it's like it's tied up, is what I'm saying. I know that that's coming out in December, but I also know that it's gonna like jack $200 from my budget. So my budget is in this weird spot right now where that's kind of sitting to the side, and I don't want to screw that up and then find out I'm not getting the Sentinel. So like, it's really throwing me off, because then these other items are like attempting to drop here in November, and I'm kind of watching real close to see how that hits me, and I'm hoping it doesn't like throw me to the side where I have to start making some decisions, because I'm not missing that Sentinel. Like, there's no way. That is an absolute figure. I'm not missing that Sentinel. Let's see. You just now get the notifications for it, Bill. Now, I wonder if this was a second or third batch Emma Frost. She was supposed to come out. Now, I actually thought that as well, because it was a while ago that I pre-ordered her, and I've already seen picture after picture after picture from people saying, oh, I got it and whatnot, but I did not get it. So, like, I don't know why it took so long for me to get notification that she was shipping. So let's get this one out of the way. Yes, those are the only two that we currently have sitting in the DC multiverse, if I'm not mistaken. And let's check this. We're currently only hanging out tonight with 2 viewers, and so we're not going to take too long in terms of finding out some of these things tonight. It's probably going to be true. But we'll see. We'll see how people kind of shuffle in and shuffle out, because sometimes it doesn't send the notifications. I've noticed that with my channel, and then sometimes it does. I have no idea. And it's hard to determine sometimes. So let's see. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I had to cancel some things because I don't want to miss out on the Sentinel. Constantly looking at Hasbro Pulse site for any changes in the date. Still, so far, still December. Yeah. And here's the thing. December when? Like, that's kind of a pretty open area. Like, is it late December? Is it early December? Is it so early that, like, on the 1st, brace yourself, here comes the Sentinel? Like we don't have a fair indication in order to plan for it. And there's things dropping all the time. And so, yeah, I kind of had to do the same thing. I kind of had to go, oh, crap, a bunch of stuff got moved into November that was not originally supposed to be in November. Do I now have to make certain decisions? And I have had to make a couple of them. I had to hold off on putting certain things on pre-order, as well as take a couple things off the list, because I'm like, I'm not losing the Sentinel. Like, I'm not losing the Sentinel. There's no way. So, yeah. Very much I'm right there with you on that aspect. Let me load this up. There we go. So far, we've got at least 3 people hanging out by what I'm seeing right here. We've got 1 vote, so we are going to give it a little bit of time, and we're going to check what that was, because I got a buzz on this guy here. That's okay. That's handled. That's fine. Okay. Shouldn't be a problem moving forward. Okay, well, for the UK Sentinel date for bumped up to November 27th, the US is for December 15th so far. Okay. Still not ideal. I wish that would have... At first, when it got pushed back, I said, that's fine. I'm actually happy with that. It'll give me time. But then a bunch of stuff happened in November. Like a bunch of stuff that was not originally for November got pushed into November. And then a lot of things hit at just like basically the most inopportune time. And before I knew it, I was like, crap, I have a very specific set budget for what I spend. And the Sentinel takes a massive chunk out of that. And now all of a sudden it's sitting at a point somewhere where I really don't want it to drop. 15th is okay. I mean, as long as I know about it, I can plan for it. But like it really puts people off when you keep pushing something back like that. And there's a couple of arguments. I would rather something get pushed back and released correctly than get something trash. That's 100%. But I also would like the time notice to guarantee that money. Like if they say on the 15th, that's fine. I can have my stuff and I can know what I'm planning for. But if you say on the 15th and then you give me a notice on the 3rd, now you're not playing ball the way that we had agreed to. That's what worries me, is when companies do that crap. What's up, everyone? Hey, man, what's going on? Hey, thank you. Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. But I guess that's just more toy stuff, really. That really comes down to, I talked about it before on this show, and people have even gotten mad at me when I say it. Toys, unlike other properties, like if you collect movies, if you collect video games, if you collect comics, they have street dates. For the most part, the date that it says they are coming out, you will receive it. It is coming in the mail. You order a book on Amazon, a comic book, or a graphic novel, or an actual novel. You order that book on Amazon, and at least 90% of the time, it's supposed to come out on October 10th. On October 10th, it ships to your house. It's there. It shows up. You don't even think about it. It's just there. But toys, they don't work that way. Like, there's so many times that toys give you, like, somewhere around the last quarter. Or they'll say something like, it comes out in October, and you'll go, that's great, that's fine, I look forward to it in October. And then all of a sudden it's October 27th, and you're like, isn't this coming out? Because they don't have a lot of time left to release this. And then like on October 30th, they send you a notice, hey, by the way, this is November now. And you're like, oh, crap. And now you got to kind of like reshuffle your funds and figure out like that happens in toys. It's one of the only collecting circles I can think of in my life that I've been a part of where that is a constant thing that you have to be aware of. Like you cannot rely on the street date. It can sometimes come out a month before it said it was going to, and sometimes a month after. You don't know. Like you really don't know. You have an idea. It's not the same thing as with a video game. When does Zelda come out? The exact date it says it's coming out. And then if it is delayed, there's a pushback. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it never feels the same way that it does in toys. Like it's a different thing. It feels different. So let's look at this. Right now we're at 6 minutes, and Batman is currently winning, and that's fine. We'll give it a little more time because people are starting to shuffle in, so we still got 4 more minutes on that vote here. Absolutely. And Hasbro is known to pull that crap too. Yes, they are. So far, I have not ordered a whole bunch of things off Hasbro Pulse, like directly from them. Oftentimes, I'll order from Entertainment Earth, Big Bad, things like that, Amazon. It's not a big deal. But there are a couple of items that I've had to order directly from Hasbro Pulse, and I've had multiple times now from Hasbro where it will say, hey, this item comes out next month. And I'm like, great. And then it'll come out, like, I'll wait all the way up to the day that it was due to be released, and they'll go, by the way, this email says you got to wait another 2 months. And I'm like, all right, okay. But then also I've had, specifically on one that I was not expecting, was, I think, one of the, was it Slice and Dice? I got that like a month before they had said. So like they send me an email and the email says like, hey, this is coming out next month. And then all of a sudden I got a shipping notice that said, hey, this shipped today. And I'm like, oh crap. Like I wasn't expecting that. You just dipped $60 out of my regular budget that I didn't plan to spend. Like that can really mess you up. That's something you have to be aware of with toys. They'll say this is the date, then bump up incredibly early, or incredibly earlier than expected. It's annoying and it screws up your planning. Yeah. Did you see the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Bulky's collection shredder figure Big Bad? Oh, I did see that today. I didn't know what it was, but I did see it today. I try to make it a habit around 11 o'clock, like around my lunchtime, to get on my phone and check Big Bad. Because just in case there's something dropping that like really, like maybe I didn't know it was coming out, maybe it surprises me, maybe I haven't been keeping up with the noise and whatnot. Yeah. And yes, yeah, we were talking about that E Honda is finally up for pre-order. Excuse me. We are almost done with the Street Fighter 2 line. That is crazy. Like, and it's so cool too, because think of how many times you get into a toy line and they start producing the wave and you start putting together the team or whatever, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere it just dies and you can never finish it. And because it was a very specific company, let's use Storm Collectibles, it has a very specific scale. And now all of a sudden they say, oh, we've done what we're going to do. Sorry. Now you have all these figures, and they're really good figures, but you didn't get to complete the line, and there's still very much figures you want from that line that were basically a promise when the line launched, and now you can't get them. And the next person to get that license immediately goes, that was good, let's do this. And then they change the scale and start doing that. And then you got to go, crap. Now you have a decision to make. Do you now start that line and start buying all those figures? Or do you just deal with the fact that this is where your collection is? Because if you buy those that you're missing from this, they will never fit with this. Like, we deal with this in DC all the time. And we're about to again. I have a real feeling we're about to again. Next up, Street Fighter Alpha. But I heard things they might not dedicate to doing the complete wave for those figures. Okay. If that's true, okay. It wouldn't bother me as much if they need to finish Street Fighter 2. That is the absolute Street Fighter 2, all of it, no questions asked. Put the whole thing on the shelf over there, every figure done, no question. It has to be completed. Once we get to Alpha, I wouldn't mind getting Killer Bee, Chun-Li, young Chun-Li, teen Chun-Li. Do I need another Ryu? I don't need young Ryu. I don't need long hair Ken. Like, these figures are fine. And they're very cool. I've seen them in like Storm Collectibles and whatnot. With like the Storm Arena figures. They're good figures. But I have a Ken. I don't need every version of Ken. That's not really going to do anything for me Street Fighter-wise. Street Fighter, to me, is not like comic books. I don't need the 7 different costume variations that happen throughout the years. I have Chun-Li Street Fighter 2. The only other interest I have is Chun-Li Street Fighter Alpha. If Jada then said, hey, we're also doing Third Strike Chun-Li, I don't care. I don't care. Like, that figure would have to be amazing. And I'm not saying it couldn't be amazing. I'm not saying they couldn't nab me with something. Maybe. But it would be a lot more difficult. Because, like, Storm Arena came out and everybody started going, Bill, oh my God, you got to get this Ryu. And I seen it and I said, he's Ryu. Like, what do you... I've got a Ryu, and I'm happy with it. I don't need to keep supplementing my line to get the same guy over and over and over again, says the guy that bought, like, Spider-Man, like, 12 times. To the point where there's a top 10 best Spider-Man list coming out on the channel. So, like... Look, sometimes... We've talked about it. I'm not ashamed of it. Sometimes I'm a putz. It happens. There he is. Bam! That's our first guy up. So, we will work on this Batman. Okay. Let's do it. I actually have a couple of questions about this Batman. Oh, you're very accessible. Come here. I need you. Because we're gonna ask some Batman questions. Sorry, I'm trying to... So the upstairs of my house is a little funny. I have a split level home, and one of the things that actually happens is that as it gets cold outside, the upstairs gets cooler. But we can't, like, just turn the heat way up because the downstairs heats up. But it's kind of like because the garage is not finished. So this part of the house can get a little cooler. So I tend to sometimes wear a jacket or a hoodie. Because it doesn't get, like, unbearable. But it can get more noticeable. Like, you go downstairs, it feels like a different house. Okay. Let's do this Batman, okay? Let's do it. It's Batman time, all right? Okay. Batman Returns, Batman, DC, Multiverse. Let's do it. Okay. This Batman, and I've mentioned this before on the show, I don't know why. I can't necessarily explain it. But throughout the years, Batman Returns is my more favorite movie of the two. There's Batman Returns. And I have no idea why. While I like Batman, I love that movie. It's fantastic. I love Batman Returns. And over the years, I've found myself watching Batman Returns more often and having a better time with it than I do with the original. Not that I haven't had... This is not like a one is better than the other. It's a personal, for some reason, I find myself watching Returns more than I find myself watching the original. I like Returns more. I like the costume more. I like some of the attitude more. I like some of the acting more. I like some of the locked-in aesthetics more. There's just parts of it that I really, really like. So the second they announced that they were doing a Batman Returns wave, I was immediately on board. I have yet to be able to find a Max Schreck. That's a problem. He's the only thing I'm missing. Me and my buddy are both looking for it. He's trying to find it. I'm trying to find it. It's a problem. I did not buy the penguins or the duck. I got the main things in the line that caught my attention. Look, I'm at a point now where I've accumulated a couple vehicles that are starting to take space in areas that have made me have to rearrange. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can become a bad thing if you let it get out of hand. So I didn't buy the duck, nor do I feel like I'm missing out. I'm happy I have a penguin, and that's all I wanted was the penguin. I got him. I didn't need penguins. I passed on it. I will live. I do need Max Schreck, and I cannot find him. And it is kind of driving me nuts. Because, like, I want the Max Schreck. He is becoming the real problem. He's the problem of the line. He is hard to get your hands on compared to the other figures. I hope this Batman, though, fixes very specific problem with the first one. This is the Batman that we've got so far. One, these are minor problems. One, his face is a little bit generic. It's hard for me to say, is that Michael Keaton? That could just be some guy. It's very possible that's just some guy. Okay, that's not the worst thing ever. Because it is the suit. And the suit is wrong, but I prefer it to be wrong. This is gold, and it's got that very nice gold color instead of this yellow. I prefer that gold color, so it doesn't bother me that they took a liberty there. I actually think it looks really good. I enjoy it. He's got his Nikes. We talked about this whole figure, and I really, really liked it. I have one major problem with this figure that is not necessarily a nitpick. I mean, it is, but it isn't. This cape is awful. I thought it was good when I first got it. I even kind of praised the fact that he went with the material he did because that Batman had a certain look about him. His cape had a feeling about it. And I even kind of talked about the gimmick where they put the little peg things in his hands and then it allows him to open up the cape and do the full flare cape. And I said, okay, well, that's kind of cool. Well, it's not, in hindsight. After spending some time with the figure, it's not. First off, it puts stitching on the cape right here in big squares, instead of just along the seam all the way up. Big squares of stitching. That doesn't seem like a big deal, but it kind of is a big deal. It really kind of messes up the look depending on what you're going for. Also, are you noticing that when this guy just stands here, the way his cape does this, it has like this fold up here and a fold up here. Then it never quite surrounds him, but it never quite lays. It's just a flappy thing, okay? And it's not like a flappy thing where it's a heavy enough material where it hangs down and holds a position either. It kind of spreads out and takes space on the shelf awkwardly, and like other characters seem like they're kind of walking into his cape. This should have been a wireframe cape. Because if we want the effect of putting the wings all the way out, if it was a wireframe cape, we could have just put the wings all the way out. We're done. We're done. He didn't need like a whole gimmick with two little peg nightstick things that go into the cape and then they go into his hands and then he lifts the thing up. We didn't really need that. I know that it's kind of movie accurate. It kind of gives us this little idea where like he does the thing and it's cool and it's very much like a nod to the movie. That's fine. But it's the biggest problem. The biggest problem with this Batman. That all being said, I am nitpicking hard here. I realize that. Because this is a solid Batman. For the price that we paid, all the stuff that we got, if the worst I have to deal with is that cape problem, and maybe, just maybe, if I could find somebody that knows how and won't ruin it, maybe I can add the wires myself. And I say find somebody that knows how because I don't have any sewing skills at all. I know a couple people that do, and if they feel like it wouldn't be that tough and they could do it, I might allow them to do it. Because then he would be a nearly perfect figure. At that point, the only nitpick we have left is that Keaton or is that just some guy? And does it really matter too much when you get right down to it? That's all I have to say about that figure. Now, why am I going into all of that detail before we open this next one? Because there's two things here. One, when we open this figure, does his face look more Keaton? I don't know. Two, does he have a wireframe cape that will be better for him than the last one we got? I don't know. Will the armor be cool, or will it be kind of... I'm trying to think how to phrase this. Will he be too wide? Because there's a slimming effect with the muscles. Will he seem too big with the armor? I don't know. All questions valid. Questions that we can't answer until we open the figure. So, let's do it. Let's open the figure. Okay. Well, let's do this, shall we? First off, he comes with 2 trigger finger hands. That is it. 2 trigger finger hands, 2 closed fists. Is that a bad thing? I personally don't think so. The last Batman that we got is going to still be using gloves that are basically the exact same gloves, mostly comparable. If you're needing all the other hands, we got that with the last Batman. If this is the first Keaton Batman you have bought, you have very limited hands. Such is the nature of collecting, especially when it comes to stuff like this. You buy a figure, you get hands, before you know it, you have so many hands, you don't even know what to do with them, and you're trying to find a bag or like a box or something like that where you keep all the hands. It's a funny conundrum, because everybody's Batman or Captain America or whatever is their first figure. So there's an argument to be made that I have even made that says, every figure should be treated as if it's the first and only figure that somebody has bought. Give them the options. But then you've also got to make the argument realistically about where the price goes and things like that. And if every single figure costs that much, are we really going to keep selling them and yada yada? It's something that does need to be discussed. But in this aspect, I am more than willing to let it go, because this Batman doesn't come with as much stuff as the last one. But all that stuff is interchangeable to this one. And I don't know that this one needed as much stuff. You could argue that there's some stuff he's missing, like he has this grapple gun, and he has this Batarang, which I think this is supposed to be representative to the Batarang that is stolen from him that then gets used to frame him. That's my guess is what they're going with that one. Other than that, the only thing we have is the figure. And he does not have a flight stand. He has this. We are still going to call that out and say he should have a flight stand. He's a figure. Batman is known for gliding, jumping, fighting. Give him a flight stand. I'm pushing it. I'm sorry. By now, just like the wired capes, the flight stands should be a standard of the line. I believe that. And then if you didn't want him to fly, you could have just not plugged in the flight part of the stand and it would have been a stand. I know we call it out every time, and I'm sorry, but we're going to do it every single time. It should be a standard of the line. It's a nitpick that I have. I'm going to keep bringing it up. So, oh, this is interesting. Okay, this is kind of wild to me. This Batman can do something he shouldn't be able to do. He can look over at you. See that? Is that weird? Is it weird to see this Batman turn and look at you while the cape is that awkward? Because that should be awkward, because that Batman can't do that. Which is wild to me. Oh, it's a lot more restrictive. This Batman can turn his head, but I am doing this in real time. I'm showing you it is way more restrictive to turn his head, to the point where you almost don't even want to turn it, which in all honesty, this Batman could not turn his head, nor could that one. So, like, accurate, which is kind of weird, but also kind of neat. Okay. So, personally, I'm going to... Oh, his leg just fell off. Let's put his leg back on. Hold on. You, sir, do not need your leg to fall off. It needs to put your leg on. Don't be like that. This Batman looks more like Keaton than this Batman. This looks like some guy. This looks a lot more like it could be Keaton. My camera probably doesn't pick that up as much, but it's noticeable. This guy does feel wider than this guy. Like everything about this guy feels a little bit bigger. I don't know that I'm hating it though. The bat feels a little bit bigger. Let's see if we can't straighten this part out a little bit here. Get that all the way down. But I'm noticing the likeness feels more correct now. I'm noticing I'm liking the cowl a little bit more now. And I said this before, I like this costume more than the other one. The 89 Batman costume I like, but I really liked the Returns costume. I liked the fact that he looked like he was a little bit more of a man, taking that part of the story seriously, and he had what looked like real protection instead of like weird sculpted rubber muscles. I know people like this sometimes, but I was not a fan of them going back to this look in like the third movie. when they went back to like sculpted muscles. I'm not a fan. I'm definitely not a fan of bat nipples and bat asses, but I'm not a fan as much of the sculpted muscles, sculpted rubber muscles, than this armor plating design. This looks more realistic to me. I take it a little more seriously. And that's not to say that all the movies have to be realistic, because, of course, we're talking about a Batman movie where, like, he fights, the Penguin, and Catwoman, like, dies, like, 8 times. And, so we don't need full seriousness in our Batman movie, that's for sure. But I did like this more. And so far, this figure in general, now we have a different thing. Now, because they gave us the wired cape, now it's a lot smaller of a cape. So I have a question, and I actually don't have the answer to this. Was this cape in Batman Returns, was it smaller? I'm asking a realistic question. Was the cape in the original movie, 89, longer, a bigger cape than the one that we had in Returns? I don't, in my mind's eye, I don't remember. Maybe this isn't bad at all. That being said, I think overall the cape is big enough. I mean, it goes all the way down to the bottom of his knees, the back of his knees, right at the start of his boots, at his calf. I think that's fine. I think that's more than enough cape. I think we'll be fine with that. And overall, he is just a very good figure. I mean, we've got plenty of movement here. We've got plenty of movement here in terms of what he is. If he is actually wearing these armor plates and everything like that, I don't expect him to move perfectly. And let's also be honest about it. Depending on what you're trying to do with this Batman, Keaton was kind of stiff. So I'm not necessarily mad. And I still think that we'd be able to pull off some stuff with him. I think that you can get gliding effects. I busted his knee off too. Put your legs on. Like, why is this happening to me today? Did I just pop your leg, like, completely? No, I didn't. There. It's back on. But I don't think that you'll have too much trouble. There, I got the leg, like, it's going all the way up and everything like that. And I just took it off again. Ugh. Okay. Put your leg back on. Let me get this. Oh. There. It's a good start. It's a good start to the day, right? I don't know what is going on with that. I popped his leg off too. I don't know what I'm doing here that is causing your legs. I'm sorry, Batman, okay? Look away from me, okay? I'm sorry that I broke your leg. I'm sorry, okay? But that's a solid Batman, all right? Aside from the fact that I popped his leg off, which seems to be my problem, because for some reason I've done it with 2 McFarlane figures back to back, which I don't know what's going on with that. I don't feel like I've had that problem with the other ones. But to be fair, there is one McFarlane figure in general that I don't know if I just got bad legs or what, but I've popped his legs off every single time I've tried to use him. The Flashpoint Batman, I cannot keep his legs on. Every single time I move him, his legs fall off. It drives me crazy. I can't stand it. It really irritates me. It drives me out of my mind. I'm kind of irritated about it, if I'm being perfectly honest. This will be a cool Batman to stand next to Christopher Reeve. Now, McFarlane, you don't have long for this, okay? And I don't know what the actual probability of it is. But, please, Linda Carter Wonder Woman. It's all I need. It's the only thing I have left. I know some people are going to say TV Flash. 90s TV Flash. I don't necessarily disagree with that. But the Linda Carter Wonder Woman would be so ideal. There's a couple things I'd still love to see from McFarlane before he's done, but we'll see about that. Maybe that's a video in its own right. Maybe I should talk about what I wish we would see before he's done. I might add that to my list of stuff to do. Anyways, that's it. I don't have anything else with this Batman, so we're going to put him on his not flight stand and set him to the side here, and then we're going to move on, okay? There we go. Let me put him over here then. And let me set up this, and then we'll go back to the chat and see what's going on. Bam, bam, bam. There. Let's give options. We went up to that point, so now we're over here. We're on... There. Move that back. Go up and see what people are talking about. What's going on? Okay. Oh, there's a lot. Okay. I recommend you watch Kaiju number 8 anime. Okay. I mean, I won't disagree with that. Max was in stock at Walmart earlier, sold out immediately. I know. I saw my buddy looking at his phone in disappointment earlier today, and I figured that's what it was about. Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, what's up? 2 hours. It'll be your 21st. That's cool, man. I remember my 21st. Also, in 2 hours, it's 10 years of the Rail Fan. I haven't seen him for a little while, actually. He gets in here kind of late, if he does get in here at all. Bill, did you ever see the Hot Toys gray and blue Michael Keaton Batman face? I did. I did. What was going on with that? 10 years of the Tokuga review. Holy crap. That was a decade ago. That is wild to think. Like how long ago we did that video. How long ago I've been doing videos. Like it kind of floors me sometimes. You want the truth of it. And like I said, I don't think he's here right now. No matter how bad this might be, it won't top the new Blu-ray. Yes. Yes, it's so bad. It's so unbelievably bad. Also, the Sentai ending thing is false. It's actually evolving. We're getting a new franchise. Still part of Sentai, however. It's called Project Red. Or Records of Extraordinary Dimensions, if you want the actual... That's good. I guess you won't be going through what I had to go through with Star Trek. If it's a Batman that can turn his head, it's no Keaton. Half of his character came from that restrictive suit. Yes, it's true. It's noticeable. You're talking about the two faces. 89 looks like Kilmer. You know, I was kind of thinking that too, but I wasn't saying it out loud, but like, I kind of had that feeling as well. Like maybe they took the Kilmer head and kind of swapped it onto this, but I never necessarily said it out loud, but it did cross my mind, in all honesty. Can't tell if this is the OG live-action Batman suit or the Batmobile. No, it was neither. It was the one that we were just talking about was Returns. I love Batman. He's my favorite. Good. That's good. That's awesome. Keaton looks like he's wearing an actual Batman suit. Val and Clooney look like they got theirs from an S&M Spirit Halloween. That must have been when his leg fell off. I can't watch. Ah, yes, Danny DeVito Penguin. You're like 3 feet tall and you wheeze everywhere you walk. You're like a grown-up. Homunculus. Nobody's getting that reference. The humanity. I like the figure and the suit, honestly. To be honest, I'm more partial to Brave and the Bold Batsy. I prefer the blue to the black, honestly. Bat Knight, but not that dark. Dark Knight, but not that dark. It's defective now. Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, what's up? Let's see. If you worked harder at work, you wouldn't be so heavy-handed. Oh, I see. Dang. I get them. I don't know. It's kind of fair, I guess. I wish I did mess around at work, to be fair. As much as I don't know how to put this. As much as I see some other people mess around, I kind of wish I had that level. But I don't. We are at, looks like G.I. Joe Classified. We're only at 4 minutes. Right now, Classified and Motu Masterverse are tied. And we'll see where that ends up taking us as we go. We do still have DC Multiverse, so that can loop back around. But right now, I think the next loop after this takes us to Figma and then back around. If we extend this stream long enough, we can maybe have a happy birthday song. You'll probably get sued. Did that enter public domain? Somebody was talking about it today, actually. Wonder if history took a different turn and we ended up getting that Nicolas Cage Superman movie, Christopher Walken Brainiac. Nuff said. I'm never that guy that, like, how do I put this? I'm never the guy that, like, feels like we missed out because of Nicolas Cage Superman. Ever. Like, there's nothing about it that I feel I missed. I don't know how thrilled I would have been to have seen that. I've seen people that are very like, oh man, it would have been legendary. For the right reasons? I don't know. Something about it has always kind of felt funny to me. Like, I can't believe they got that far. I'm very curious to see where they were going with that, what their idea was. But I've never felt like I missed out on that. Ever. Like, ever. Nicolas Cage Batman? No, he was talking, there was a Nicolas Cage Superman that was going to happen. Opinion on Ben Affleck Batman. So, here's the thing. Discounting most of the rest of the movie, I think Ben Affleck Batman, especially in the first film he appears in, is fantastic. Regardless of how I feel about that movie, he as Batman worked for me. I love that opening scene where they go in and they're looking and they find that group that's downstairs. And they go up and they're about to let the girls out of the room or whatever. And they grab the cage and close it. And they're like, no, he's still here. They are afraid of him. They're not even afraid of their own captors anymore. The people that put them there. They're afraid of what came to get them out. That is perfect Batman. That is how rumors happen with Batman. Batman is more than human, even though he's not. And he's more than human because of the perceived ideas around him and the fear that follows him. The more rumors exist about what you saw and how inhuman it was, the better off it is, because people are afraid of him and it gives him a psychological edge at the very beginning. When that cop walks into that room, because they're now searching the building, and he walks in the room and he comes in and he sees the brand. I don't necessarily love that he was branding people, especially with Batman being as smart as he is and knowing that his brand, because they explain it in the movie that the branding, if you go into jail and you have the branding, you're pretty much guaranteed to die. They're targeting people that have that brand. He is sending people to their deaths. That's not a Batman thing. It's also not a Batman thing to have him killing a bunch of people, but let's be honest about the movies. Batman is a murderer in the movies. Period. It's true. You're not going to convince me that Keaton and the other Batman in those movies were not murdering people. They very blatantly were. And they weren't too worried about the fact that they were doing so. So you get the idea. But even going past that, this Batman is also murdering people. Is that a Batman thing? One could argue in the movies, yes it is. One could argue it's very wrong for the continuity of a Batman thing in general, and that shouldn't be the way that it is, but it is. If we're talking about movies, we can't hold that scrutiny up to Ben and then take it away from everybody else, because every Batman was murdering people. In fact, wasn't Clooney the only one not to murder people? Isn't he the only Batman, aside from Adam West, to not blatantly murder people? And I guess you could make the argument that Batman, in the Batman Begins Christopher Nolan trilogy, was not a murderer. But big old cheeks, he is a murderer. He is a very blatant murderer in the first movie. It's not something you can argue against. I don't care. You can make whatever argument you'd like to make. He is a murderer. When he stands against Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows, and he specifically takes the branding iron and he throws it up with all the explosives, he blatantly knows what he is doing and what it will cause. And every single person in that building that doesn't make it out of that building, he purposely started the situation that would kill them. He murdered them. In a court of law, if you do something that sets fire to a building that people are in and they die, you have committed murder. I'm sorry. That Batman is a murderer. Right after giving a speech about how he will not do that. I won't do that. No. Compassion's important. It's something that we have that they don't have. I will not kill this man. I will, however, throw this branding iron into a bunch of explosives and then have a mighty sword fight with the guy that I think is Ra's al Ghul until he dies by chance from the situation that I caused. And then while his entire house explodes everywhere and everything blows up and fire takes everybody's lives in a horrible, horrible death machine, I will then not save the guy that I specifically said I will not kill, and I will instead save the actual Ra's al Ghul. He saved his friend, the guy that trained him, Ra's al Ghul, from the burning building. And left the guy that was tied up, that was waiting to be beheaded, that he refused to do that because he's better than that. That guy burned to death. He is dead. He's dead. I'm telling you, he's dead. It is. I do not see an argument. He's dead. Okay? He's dead. He's a dead guy. You killed all those people. Then, I'm sorry, he murders again at the end of the movie. when he specifically causes the situation that will make the train go down, and then puts himself in a situation to stare Ra's al Ghul directly in the face and tell him, I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you. Batman. Roll this back for a second. In the comic books, you would have risked everything you had, regardless of that situation, to pull Ra's al Ghul from that train, beat him down, and take him to Arkham or wherever he's going to go. And he would have stood trial because you believe in that. You believe in it. But in that movie, why'd he go to the train? Why does he go to the train? Because the only reason to go in the train, when he knows that he is about to derail the train and destroy it, he knows that is his plan. They will drop this part, and then the train will go off the rails, and death to any fool that is still on that train. He goes onto that train knowing that he's going to derail it. Keeps Raz's attention, who Raz couldn't have got off that train if he wanted to. What's he going to do? Just automatically stop it? He would have turned into paste if he would have just, hit the dead brake. So he can't stop the train. He's definitely going over the edge. It's already done. And since Batman wasn't even the one that was blowing up the tracks, there was another guy that was going to do that. It was definitely on schedule to happen. The only reason to go into that train is to look that guy in the face and be like, you're a dead man. Cape. Bye, buddy. He's a killer. He's a murderer. Every Batman in the movies is a murderer. He's a murderer. Sorry. They're all murderers. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. They're all murderers. But that's the reason I can't pin it on Ben's Batman and say, oh my God, he's just murdering people left and right. Come on. Let's be honest. Let's be honest about the movies we've been watching. Let's be honest about the Michael Keaton Batman that punches a strong man in the face, and then the strong man's like, oh man, what's that? You hit me, Batman? I'm too tough to be knocked out by Batman. And then Batman gives the biggest murder smile I've ever seen a Michael Keaton give when the guy realizes, oh crap, he put TNT on me, and then he gets punched into a hole and he blows up and he's dead. That's murder. He murders in multiple movies. Batman's a murderer. Okay? I'm sorry. In the movies, he is. But the myth that follows him is more real in that movie than I think any other movie. Because think about that opening scene, and the cop walks in, and he walks into the room, and he sees the brand, and then he's like, he takes a second. You can watch the gears turn in this guy's head when he says, if that guy's here, the brand is still hot. I came in the only entrance. I don't see anybody. And nobody could have left. You can watch it turn in real time as he realizes whatever just happened is in this room. And then he starts to turn. And he finds Batman hanging in the corner like some sort of monster. And oh my God, that is Batman. That cop is so scared, he takes a shot. He doesn't ask questions. He immediately tries to kill the monster in the corner. And the monster then, because you're not thinking in that dark situation, you can't tell that he used the grapple line or anything. He just whips across the ceiling and then goes out. What's the story like when he goes back to the station and tells everybody what he saw? I saw it. It was like a creature. It climbed across the ceiling at rapid speed. I must have shot it 4 times. Nothing affected it. That's the way he comes off. That's the reason normal people tell the stories they do about the Batman. That is perfect. The entrance of the Batfleck Batman is the best Batman entrance, hands down, across all the Batmans that we have seen thus far. All of them. All of them. I'm dead serious. Even the Batman, personally, that Batfleck is the best Batman introduction we have ever seen. The warehouse fight, fantastic. got to be one of the best. It's got to be in the top 5 best Batman fights ever put to film. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's probably in one of the top, you could probably mark that in the top 10 best fight scenes in superhero movies. Like, it is so good. It's an absolute masterclass. I liked Ben Affleck Batman. I thought he got cheated, if you want the truth of it. In fact, I think he got cheated more than Henry Cavill got cheated. Henry Cavill, I still believe that he could have been Superman, but he got screwed. I never felt like I liked him as Superman that much, but always felt like he could do it. Affleck started exactly where I wanted him. And then they walked him backwards to do like comedy skits in the next movie and completely obliterated everything they'd created. I don't know why they did that. Because he was nearly perfect. Like, I don't know that you could have done better. Perfect entrance. That Batman was set for greatness. They screwed him. They screwed him. So, we're looking at... We're going to call on Classified this time. If I have to pick between the two. And only because Masterverse is actually technically out of my reach. I could walk over there if it would have won. But if I don't have to walk over there, we're going to call what's actually sitting right next to me so we don't have to move. So let's load up 4 choices in G.I. Joe Classified and keep talking. We have and I need one more. Oh, you know what? That wouldn't be the worst idea ever. There. Bams. It was bonkers. Reflective suit that isn't blue and red, giant robot spiders. What kind of truth? Right, absolutely. Absolutely. I always wanted like Keanu Reeves Batman versus Jim Carrey Joker. It's not that I don't think Carrey could have done a good Joker. I think he could have done a very fine Joker. But I think that at the time people are referencing, Carrey was not known for doing anything dramatic or serious yet. Not in that aspect. And no studio would have hired him to do so. Why did they want him as the Riddler? Let's just be honest about the situation. Because they wanted Jim Carrey. It wasn't about the Riddler. It was about the star power of Jim Carrey at the time. And what would they have asked him to do had they hired him to be the Riddler? So, had they hired him to play the Joker, he just would have been Jim Carrey as the Joker. But not in a way that would have like... Just like the Jim Carrey Riddler is not iconic, I would argue he's not iconic. He's not like the standout Riddler that we all know or all want. I would argue the exact same thing for how his Joker would have turned out. Because at the time that they would have got him, what they would have wanted him to do is Ace Ventura, Mask, Jim Carrey. Because that's what they wanted. That's what they wanted when they had him play the Riddler. If you take him even further back in time and place him there, I still think that we'd get the same aspect. I think that that's what they'd hire him for. Now, the argument for Keanu Reeves, however, is that Keanu Reeves, after seeing what he did with The Matrix, and understanding that that's around the same era, I think that you would have been pleasantly surprised by Keanu Reeves' Batman, and because while they were casting Batman serious, because even though, and you don't have to like Clooney and you don't have to like Val Kilmer, that's not my argument here, but in the context of what they were hired to do, the Batman stays a relatively serious character even when he's goofy. Like, the Batman being goofy as Clooney had the goofiest of the Batman, and even he is still more serious than the rest of the characters in the movie. The rest of the characters in the movie have all been hired to be like goofy 1960s villains, but not the Batman. So you could argue that Keanu would have played a serious Batman with a serious Wayne, and Jim Carrey would have been Jim Carrey. I personally don't think this would have been a standout, knock it out of the park thing. I think it would have been what I just described. I'm not sold on it, personally. Not for the era that we're talking about. Let's see. Yep, Keaton killed Nicholas Joker, killed DeVito Penguin, albeit not intentionally. Oh, hold on though. He also threw a guy down the bell tower. When he found out that there was a guy that was actually tough and was actually kicking his butt all around the clock tower or the bell tower, whatever, he just threw that dude off the bell tower. That dude is dead. He's dead. That's a dead man. He's dead as crap. And then he killed the strong man like he was a murderer. He was a murderer. It just absolutely was. Yes, one could say he did not mean to kill the Penguin, but he creates the situation that kills him, and he makes no attempt whatsoever to stop it. None. The second he hits the button and the bats fly all around him and he starts, nothing. He just watches. He doesn't reach for him. He doesn't worry about it. He doesn't nothing. He just says, bye. Shame what happened to you. Like, just doesn't care at all. Let's see. Albeit not intentionally, Val throws up a bunch of coins, causing Harvey to fall to his death, blatantly knowing that would happen. What other result could he have possibly expected? He killed him. He murdered that man. And Christian Bale Bats leaves Roz to his own fate. Amongst the other situation that I called up. Yes, they're all murderers. The best scene for me for Batfleck is the warehouse scene in Batman v Superman, which I did talk on. Unbelievable scene. Batfleck was good. I don't think he did a terrible job. It was just they expect me to believe that Jared Leto Joker was any kind of serious. Here's the way you do the Joker in that aspect. Well, everything that I said still matters. Batman is something that gives you is a psychological edge in the Batman. People are afraid of him. He seems inhuman. The Joker is not afraid of him. That simple. It might sound stupid, and it might sound overly simple, but the Joker is not afraid of him. That changes everything. It changes literally everything. Because a Batman that literally lives on his own legend, when he comes up against a man that doesn't buy it, that man is dangerous. Way more so than a guy whose heart rate is going off the scales and he's afraid of you and he's already making stupid mistakes you can capitalize on. That's a scary guy. And it makes it a lot more difficult for you to accomplish the thing that you're going to do. Also, it helps if you don't cast Jared Leto. Just saying. Just saying. Like, I still stick to this. Willem Dafoe would have been the best Joker we'd have ever got. Hands down. I still honestly believe that. I don't even know if they were thinking of Batman when making Tekashi 6ix9ine Oh. Of course they were. I mean, there's no way they didn't have a Batman planned if they were doing anything, Joker. Same thing with Yuan's Black Mask, too. These guys are supposed to be a part of his rogues gallery. Really? Right. Right. Exactly. When your rogues gallery is trash, when you're not getting the right people to play the rogues gallery, it drags down the Batman. So, like, while I think the Batman in Batfleck's portrayal is perfect, none of the other aspects did him any favors. I think the guy who plays the Terrifier 2, the Terrifier clown, would be a good Joker. I would be interested to hear what Seth has to say about that, actually, because Seth is very much into those kinds of things, and I'd be curious to hear how he felt about that, because you may have a point there, but I'd need to hear somebody's interpretation, like as to how they feel that would play out. I know the Joker is insane, and the most celebrated Heath Ledger Joker looked the most insane, but Jared Leto Joker is a crackhead. Very true. I could not fit all that in my comment. No, I get it. Jared Leto Joker just looks like they got Johnny Depp's Willy Wonka, dyed his skin with bleach, gave him a soldier cut, and painted it green, and got high on white powder. I know in some animated shows the Joker looks messed up, but Jared Leto is just... I don't like anything about that Joker. Anything. Nothing about it appealed to me. Literally nothing. Hey, do you think that Huntress figure from McFarlane is worth getting? I wish I had an answer for you. I wanted that. I missed it, and I didn't get it, and I've yet to buy it. It's one of the things that I kind of want. It's a part of the Bat family that I think she looks good. Like when I see her, and I think because of the multiple headpieces that she comes with, I think that there's an argument to be made that she could stand for two different roles too. If I get the Huntress, I could put her with my Batman figures, and I think that she would work really well. But I could also put her with my Superman from Kingdom Come and my Power Girl, and so that's Power Girl, Huntress, Superman. That's kind of perfect because that really works, because Power Girl and Huntress were best friends. And Superman was the father figure. And that's absolutely beautiful. And that kind of builds like a different kind of Trinity over there. I think that would be fantastic. I want one. And I hope that it doesn't disappoint me when I finally get a chance to get my hands on one. But I have not had one yet, so I can't necessarily endorse it. But that's why I want one. To me, the only character from the Suicide Squad was Diablo. I'll say that for the Harley she was expected to play, she did a fantastic job. Harley works. She really does. Also, Captain Boomerang, that kind of worked for me too, if I'm being perfectly honest. Diablo is solid. And we're gonna say that's about it. Because I'm sitting here fighting with myself about, like, was Enchantress worth anything at all? Some of the aspect was kind of cool for the kind of look and design they were creating. It was eerie and creepy, and it kind of was neat. And I liked the fact that, like, there was a control factor with them, like, having her heart, and then they could, like, kind of control. I kind of liked that, even though it doesn't. I don't know if I can give... Even though there are parts of it I like, I think there's equally enough about it that I don't like. And I definitely didn't like Rick Flag. Like, I don't think that he worked at all for me. I just felt... And I really don't like Deadshot. And the real kicker to that one that sucks is that Will Smith is good. In most of the things that he does, he's good. So it's not that I feel like he couldn't have done it. And we know about what's going on with Will Smith right now. We know why he has life problems. But like, and we also know that he made some stupid choices, and I still don't forgive him for the stupid choice that he made. But going back off of that, at the time, Will Smith was known to really knock it out of the park with pretty much anything he was given. And that role is very disappointing, because I don't feel like it lived up to what he's capable of. Also, I have to say that movie felt like they were filming one movie. Then all of a sudden a bunch of stuff came in, like criticism, and they said, "Ooh, hit the brakes. Film the other movie." Then they started filming the other movie, and then they realized they didn't have the time to film this movie that they started, and they had to like smash the two movies together, and then we got what we got. Because it feels like two different feelings throughout the course of the entire movie. Like it was meant to be one way, and then they all of a sudden decided to do the other way, and then they did neither way. It just feels like it's two movies that got stuck together. Renato brought up 6ix9ine. Nah, Jared Leto Joker looks more like the Island Boys tattoo teeth. Okay. I hardly remember anything about Enchantress. I just remember her being spooky and then releasing CGI sludge putties. Oh, yeah, that's true. That does happen. What are we? Some kind of Suicide Squad? Oh, perceptive. So we're at 14 minutes. And right now, Retro Cobra and Flint have won. I'm not going to do both, so I'm going to pick between the two. I'm going to run Retro Cobra. Why? Because while I like both of those, that Cobra is something I've wanted to open like literally since I've got him. And he's right here on the top of the pile, so he's easy to get to, which is kind of nice. Let's switch this stuff around here. And it also puts something else from the G.I. Joe back into rotation, which is nice, because it's another figure that I'm kind of looking forward to. Wow. It's wild the way that the voting process tends to work for us and how long something can sit in the background. But let's do it. Cobra Commander, retro card back. Here we go. I'm going to continue a point. It is wild. The way that the show runs is that I get items, and then I put them to the side, and then we talk about fandom and things like that, and we vote on what's going to get opened, what we're going to talk about. And sometimes figures that I'm positive will be opened fast never get voted. And they just kind of sit in the background for a very long time. And unless I do an independent, single release video, we never talk about them. That happens with this guy right here. Back when this guy first came out, I got him. And he came into the show. And he lost to some Snake Eyes. And then we moved on to other figures. And then before I knew it, he got buried. And then because he was buried, he never got voted on again. And then randomly he would come up and get voted on here and there during shows and never win. Nobody wanted to talk about classic retro Cobra Commander. There's a couple things about that kind of indicate to how the show works. Were there no G.I. Joe fans in the room that day? One could argue maybe so. One could also argue that by the time that he came back around for votes, other reviewers had already talked about him. So what could I possibly have to say? That's fair too, especially if you view this as a figure review channel, which I still maintain that it's not in the same way as other channels. Normally, I talk about why I give a crap in the first place, and what fandom topics jump to mind because of the item that we're opening. And that on the table, by the way, this figure right here. I know people like the hood. Like, there's people that are absolutely stuck on the fact that we should have had a Cobra in the hood by now. Is that fair? Yes, I think it's justified. I think that the Cobra hood is an iconic look, and regardless of what they are trying to avoid, let us be honest about a situation here real quick. Cobra, in general, is the leader of a massive terrorist organization. Is there, like with the hood thing, are we worried that he would look evil somehow? Like, I get the reference. It's not that I don't get it. I know that they're being very careful about like what they sell and what they feel might come back on them, but like, let's be honest about something real quick. This guy right here is not a good person. Like, and in the comic books, I'm sure he's an even worse person. And even in the movie, he's not exactly a good guy. And I'm talking about, like, the movie that came out that I'm sure only some people like, to be fair. But, like, I was fine with it. I felt like it reminded me of, like, a time when I just created stories for G.I. Joes and, like, played in my backyard. So the movie didn't bother me like I'm sure it did other people. It's weird to me when we, like, worry about bad guys looking too evil or something. I don't know. I feel like by now, if nothing else, he should have been offered as a made to order or something of that nature. Like, or he should have been part of one of the HasLabs. It does kind of blow my mind that we still don't have the Cobra hood. Because we have this Cobra, and I like this Cobra a lot. We have the classified Cobra, which I actually kind of liked that figure quite a bit too. And then we had the Battle Armor Cobra. Do I want the Battle Armor Cobra? Yes. For one specific reason. When I was growing up, the only Cobra I had was that Cobra. When I got a Cobra Commander, I went to the store, and I knew Cobra Commander, and I knew that I wanted him, but like he simply was not available every time that I went to the store, and I never really got one. Finally, I got my first Cobra Commander ever, and it was the Battle Armor Cobra Commander, and I played with him all the time. All the time. He was like my go-to bad guy. We created different like personalities and whatnot for him, and every time we played, we'd be like, okay, this is the bad guy. And so like, I have a lot of memories with that Cobra specifically being the stand-in main bad guy of a lot of my Joe campaigns or playing guys or playing war or however you wanted to phrase that. We used to call it playing guys. I don't know why that was the phrase that we used, but that's what we called it. And that was the Cobra that I specifically had. But my favorite Cobra design that I have ever seen is honestly this. It is this design. This, anytime that I think about Cobra in my mind's eye, this is what I see, specifically. I don't know if that has an influence from the cartoon, that I knew his design from the cartoon and that felt right, or if it's something else entirely. I don't know. But this is the design that always spoke to me. It's what I feel when I think about Cobra Commander. Even though there's a high nostalgia to the fact that the Cobra that I played with was Battle Armor Cobra. So that is actually a figure that I want. That also being said, there is another reason that I want Battle Armor Cobra. Not only does it kind of fill an aspect of this was a childhood toy that would be really cool to have again in the new style that it is, but also, and this is kind of wild, but also, it comes with an iguana. Like, come on. You gotta hand it to the animals of the line. giant scorpions, warthogs, couple different dogs, wolves. Like, they're knocking it out of the park with these animals, okay? And I have to say, the fact that they had like a little iguana, I would be into that. Like, I don't know what pictures I would ever get out of it, but like, I'm into it. Like, I'm into it enough that I honestly want it. Regardless of how goofy it probably is. I want it. So yeah, that's where my mind goes with all of this. So, there's a couple things with this figure that I want to see specifically. I'm kind of thrilled about one part of him specifically. I want to see how, because like I'm looking at it right now, I can see my face in his faceplate. That is wild. And I've actually heard from a couple people that are doing like the photography and whatnot, that the biggest thing that they've had with him is trying to be careful about the angle that you take the picture of him from, or the lighting that you have specifically, because you will get the camera in his mask. That's wild. That it's so mirror reflective. That's exciting. Like, it's goofy, but it's exciting, and I'm kind of interested to see it. And that's the biggest part that I think that kind of excites me about opening this, other than he really is my ideal Cobra Commander. That all being said, I think we're at the point now. Let's open him up. Okay. Well, so he has pointer finger hand, which awesome. Okay, I actually like that a lot. He has an expression hand. That's what I call these when they're like open like this. I call them expression hands because they're good for like dynamic poses where he's like, ah, or whatever, you know. He, of course, has punching hands, and then he has trigger finger hands on the actual figure himself. He comes with this backpack thing. This gun. It's a weird, like, guessing lasery type thing or whatever, you know, some kind of fake gun. Knife, which will go in the little knife pouch. I'm curious, real quick. Does this show me? No, it doesn't show me what that thing is. So that thing, I'm going to count it as his backpack. It's his backpack, okay? Whatever this weird thing is, it goes on his back. It's his backpack. I'm guessing it holds his gun. I have no idea. It seems very weird, in all honesty. But, here he is. His color is very solid. I like that blue. I think that it works. He has all the articulation that I've come to expect from G.I. Joe Classified. His sculpting and everything is absolutely fantastic. He can actually carry the weapons that he came with, such as the knife that goes right in there like that. And I know that I've said this in multiple G.I. Joe reviews, but I just, sometimes I gotta say it over and over and over again, because it really is. I need you to understand sometimes why I appreciate it the way that I do. I'm 41. I come from a different time. I grew up in the 3.5 G.I. Joe scale, where if you had a knife on the character, you didn't have that knife. It was just like on there. It was just like part of the toy or whatever. It'd be like right here on there, but you couldn't actually use it. If you had like grenades, they were like 4 or 5 of them, and you just had to like, yeah, you could say something about like, oh, kids don't have enough imagination. I don't buy that, to be fair. I don't buy into that kids nowadays thing. What I am trying to say though is like, back then, I would just have to, like, remember. I'd have to be playing the game and be like, my guy uses his grenade, bam, or whatever, you know? You didn't have it. You couldn't, like, take the knife out and, like, pull it out, and, like, then he has it, and then he's, like, trying to get you or whatever, and then if you knock him down, he doesn't have the knife. You just have to, like, claim, oh, yeah, my guy, he pulls his knife out or whatever, but you didn't have it. Like, you didn't have the knife. It seems like such a little thing, but I always like to point it out because, like, the craziest thing about these figures is that everything they come with, they can carry. And that, you would think that would not be a big deal. But man, it's a small little detail that I think younger collectors cannot or will not appreciate the way that we would when we grew up, simply not having this level of effect and detail. We simply didn't have it. It's just not a thing. And to put it into perspective, because I have it right here, that's Dice. This is what I had. This is what I grew up with. Not that some of you in the chat probably didn't grow up the exact same way. I'm not saying that. But this was my figure. This is Dice. Right here. This was my most played with G.I. Joe aside from one. I already talked about it in another live, and I will probably have a chapter coming out for it. Actually, it's in a video, the QuadCon video, I specifically talk about it. And I'm probably going to make a chapter talking specifically about it. But this right here is second most played with G.I. Joe. This is what I got now. That's exactly what I played with as a kid. Unbelievably new age. And most everything that this guy has, this guy actually got and could actually use. Yeah, these are still like smoke bombs that don't actually come off or whatever. So I'm not saying that it's all the time, but most of the time these Joes now are coming with like, they don't have like a fake knife that's like on the side here or something like that then they can never actually use. They like have a knife that can come out of this little sheath. It's such an intricate little detail that it kind of blows me away. And every single time I see it, it really does blow me away just a little bit more and a little bit more. Because we simply didn't have it. Now let's put his weird backpack on. There, I guess. There? That's right. I don't know. Does his gun go like this or something? What's going on here? Does it? I think that's the idea. And then I think he can reach behind and he has a gun. I think that's what you're supposed to do with that backpack. Cool. That's the weirdest part of this whole figure, in all honesty. I don't think I'm in love with that. Like at all. Like in the least. But I do like the idea. Let's pull that. Oh, I dropped it. Hold on. I gotta get it. There. We got a pointer finger for pointing. And then I want the expression hand. Because he's probably just going to go on the shelf no, nothing but like his expression and his pointing and things like that. Definitely very tight. I'm going to have to pop him out. And in all honesty, I don't think I want to do that without like heating him up a little bit, because it feels really, really tight. But it doesn't feel like it's going to break. It just feels tight. Like I'm already starting to get movement in it, just kind of cracking it out. But I don't want to do it to the point where I will hurt anything. So I think that's the extent of what I'm going to do with him until I'm off the show. But that is insane. Like, the level of reflection that is going on here in that mask, that's crazy. You can see the individual stage lights and everything. Like, I can look at my face in his face. That is wild. But at the same time, it's exactly right. I mean, isn't it? Like, that's what it was that's what it is. That's what it's supposed to be. But like, for them to go out of their way, they could have just painted that silver. They didn't have to go out of their way like that. That's crazy. That's one of the coolest things about this whole guy. But yeah, Cobra Commander. Happy to have him on the shelf. Thrilled to have him on the shelf. I honestly am. I think it's very cool. I've kind of been looking forward to opening this guy for a long time, so I'm kind of finally happy to have the opportunity to add him to the shelf. And now let's add something else to the pulls here. Let's get another one. Okay, so okay, we went from there, so there's a, and then that pulls us back over there to, bam. That's everything that's up in the next conversation. So let's see. Does anyone know if the G.I. Joe Transformers movie is still happening? I have no idea. Bill, did you see the last Ronin TMNT live action got canceled? Now they are going to do a live action that's not rated R and directed by the Fast and Furious director and producer. So because I've yet to read The Last Ronin, I know everybody very much loves The Last Ronin, and I very much get it. I am behind on that. It's something that I've simply not read. So I don't necessarily have an opinion as to does that content work if it's not rated R. I don't know. One would think that if they're playing with flashbacks and the idea of a broken guy, and you're almost playing an old man Logan type of situation, you know. I know who the Last Ronin is. I'm not saying it because I don't know if other people in the chat know, but I know who he is. But like, is he? Do you do that story without actually going into the R content of it? I don't know. And if you dumb it down, does it lose what makes it what it is? Because in some cases, that's true. In some cases, you take something like, say you take something like The Terminator, and you turn it into a Saturday morning kids cartoon. It's no longer the same thing. Say you take Mortal Kombat, and you turn it into a Saturday morning kids cartoon. We've seen what that looks like. It don't work. Now, how much can they get away with on a PG-13 scale? Can it be dark enough to play the aspects and the attitude that they're going with? And then the real question is, for a movie audience, people that just go into the movies, Can you do a Last Ronin and put butts in seats? You're talking about a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie with only one turtle and a very dark aspect to the whole situation. Does that put off the regular fans that may have went to it? I know a lot of the TMNT fans and things like that already know what it is, and they're gonna rush out to see it. But let us also be honest about where this stuff lies. If you want to make money, you want to put a movie out and make money, you need more than the fans. I know that sounds a certain way and people don't want to hear that. I get it. But it's the truth. If only fans went to Marvel movies, we would not have Marvel movies. Period. It's not even negotiable. It's not even a debate. We would not have Marvel movies in the aspect that you understand them today. Those Marvel movies knew just how much of the comic book to keep and just how much to delude and just how much to get rid of in order to speak to audiences, in order to pull people in. Because you needed fans to go and to tolerate just enough that was wrong while seeing just enough that was right, that they were excited to finally see that at least something was right. And then you needed to somehow sell that level of ridiculousness to regular everyday guy, and have regular everyday guy come in and watch this movie and go, oh, you know, I kind of get it. This superhero thing is kind of cool. What else do you got? And then, of course, they can start selling him on bigger, grander, more ridiculous ideas that he gets into, and then he likes some characters and he doesn't. But that regular guy, regular outside fan guy, he's where the money is. It's not us. We're pretty much the get it funded phase. They say, hey, movie, come watch it. And then we, very blatantly knowing that Fan Stick is going to be trash, go and watch it. We are the first butts in the seats. Then you take that aspect and you try to sell it to the everyday normal guy. An everyday normal guy walks in and sees that movie and goes, what? No. Or he never goes at all. And then guess what happens? The movie dies. I'm not saying that certain movies don't deserve to die. But I am saying that if you want it to work, you need to put the butts in the seats. And it's not our butts that need to be in that seat to make it work. Can you sell a Last Ronin movie to the general audience? I don't know. I mean, I'm being serious. I don't know. Could you do that movie animated and it do very well? Like in Marvel movie or like the DC animated films? Yes, hands down. No question. You could do it. It'd be a masterpiece. We'd love it. But that's where I'm having trouble with this. I'm wondering if they pulled the R because they're having the same conversation I am. Who's even going to go watch this? Oh, well, people really like this idea. It's really big in the Ninja Turtle circles. And then some investor guy or whatever goes, yeah, but like, what even is this? And then he gets explained to it because he's investor guy. And then investor guy goes, so wait, there's no Donatello? And then they go, no, this story specifically about, well, I don't know how you're going to do this movie if you're not going to include the turtles. Well, that's the whole point of the movie, sir. You see the idea. I don't even care. Like, you want to do a movie with no turtles? Yeah, but sir, what you got to understand. I don't care. Look, turtles make money. If you're not going to have turtles, like what are we, and rated R? So it's a turtles movie with no turtles that's only for adults. Who's this for? That's the investor guy. You got to sell the movie. Regardless of how we feel about it, you got to sell the movie. Can they do it? I don't know. And I'm wondering if that's why they're thinking the way they are. Like, I don't know. I'm fighting with myself about it. Because I feel like this could be fantastic. But I'm also being very real about how I see the industry. And that's how I see the industry. That's kind of where my thoughts are about it. So I don't know. But I'm not necessarily thrilled about this news. But I may understand where it's coming from. Paramount said they're going to save The Last Ronin live action as a last resort or just later down the road to get the fans back. I really feel like it's probably more along the lines of what I was saying. I really feel like that. But we'll see. My Persona McFarlane figure finally got to me. He's not perfect by any means, but he's passable. The product photos don't really do the figure justice. He looks better in person. I did see him at a Walmart. And I could argue that he does look better in person than he did in the photograph pictures. The preview pictures did not do him a lot of justice. I am willing to get behind that statement, actually. Am I buying it? Still no. But if you take this line and it holds promise and he starts doing more figures from Persona, like if he has the license and this is a test, and then he starts pumping it out from there, you could definitely get my attention. Because I like a lot of Persona stuff. But this I'm not jumping on this one, but there's some stuff here. He doesn't look as bad as I thought he looked, or rather, do I still think he's a little overpriced? I still think so. But I can agree with your statement. I really can. As of now, yes, there hasn't been any recent news or... Nice. Well, technically they do have the other turtles, but they are in ghost form and spirit form. That's fair. I did know that. The old Spawn movie is a prime example by Todd trying to appeal to a broader audience, stripping away the dark tone, sacrificed a part of the story and the atmosphere. Right. And while it may have sold to the everyday guy, it didn't hold on to what made it, so it kind of lost both. It was a little too weird for like the every normal fan like guy that walks into the theater, but it wasn't hard enough for the comic book guys that went there for a very specific kind of film. So like all the comic book guys kind of migrated to the animated series that was going on, which was unreal. And then the movie just kind of flopped, really. The animated series on HBO was how you adapt Spawn. Oh, I guess I just said that, yeah. You don't sacrifice what is a part of the character and its universe. It's supposed to be dark, it's supposed to be gory and violent. Right. But can you sell that on the big screen in a way that will keep butts in the seats and make money? That's tough. Star Wars won. That's interesting. Okay. Dupe. Let's get this then. Okay, I actually have to look. It's been a while. Oh, there's only 3 now. Is that 3 or is that 4? That's 3. No Star Trek. Stay over there. Okay. Oops. Oh, that's why. Because my fingers aren't actually on the right spots on the keys. And then... Is this... Yeah. And then that actually is... I didn't need this one, so... We'll count that as... There, I'm not retyping it. Just put it on like that. Watch that. Get the lights in here. Here, you can sit here for right now. Are you going to get the Fire and Ice villain from Frazetta Girls? Yes. Yes, I almost did a video talking about it where he we are in dangerous price territory with him. I know he comes with a throne, but we are in dangerous price territory with him. He was that close to edging me out. The only thing that made me buy him, very, very small. This is it. It is the only thing that made me buy him. It's Fire and Ice. We have a Tigra, a Dark Wolf. When was the last time that happened? Really? I mean, think about it. You're talking about a movie that came out in the 80s that never saw a significant release of figures until like 2023. What's the chance, as long as that took, if I pass on Necron, do I ever get that opportunity again? Will I literally die before we ever see another Necron? Because I think it's a real possibility. And I'm not being dramatic, I'm being real. These things come in waves. He-Man and Conan right now, they're kind of back in the limelight somehow. Like they've got enough recognition to produce product again. And we're getting Fire and Ice figures. That's good. But it also puts me in a spot where if I pass on them now, they're gone. I don't think this is like, and this is not significant, like, this is not like Death Dealer, okay? This is not like where we have seen multiple Death Dealers throughout the course of time. Death Dealer is a thing that, like, we've seen statues, we've seen figures, we've seen customs and things like that all the time. Fire and Ice figures? No. Not a thing. Not a thing. So I did. I did. I don't know if I would call him overpriced. There's an argument to be made that he is. He's essentially naked body guy in a bathrobe. Let's be honest about his design, okay? Let's at least be honest about what we're buying. He is naked blue guy in a bathrobe. Scary. I love Fire and Ice. Let's just be honest about what he is, okay? As a figure, that's what he is. He has a cool throne. It's like $130. That is a lot. That is a lot. But I did buy him. And that is my reasoning. I don't know that there'll ever be another of him. I just don't. Somebody did not like what I said about that stuff. They didn't like it. Oh well. Listen, they said they changed their minds because of the Sonic movie success. Really? Like the fact that Sonic isn't trying to be hardcore, it's trying to be fun? Is that what they're talking about? I'm very confused, like how they're, like what that means. What? That is wild. It happens faster than you'd think, though. In all honesty, it really does. Like, in terms of getting hurt and, like, you know what I mean? Like, it really does. It happens faster than you think it would. In terms of, like, getting an infection and stuff like that. McFarlane said he was looking into making the female protagonist, which is probably, he just, okay. I didn't know her name. I knew who she was from P3P is what I think you're talking about. But I didn't know what her actual name was. And look, if he wants to go, you're not going to get me to buy Persona 3 stuff. It's just the way that I feel. I played Persona 3 back on the PlayStation 2. That's where I played it, okay? Then FES came out. I tried to play it again. And I couldn't do it. So there was something about it that I couldn't get through it a second time. I don't know if it's the dungeon design or if it's just that I don't link up with the characters the same way. Persona 3 didn't hit me like that, okay? Just all art is subjective. I didn't feel it. When Persona 4 came out, I locked in. Every one of those characters, I love them. They're like my friends. Like, that's the best way I can explain it. Like, I felt like I knew these people. Like, I felt like I really spent time with them. I knew them. I enjoyed it. I was living life with them. They were my friends. Like, those characters spoke to me in so many ways. And then we went for Persona 4. And we went to, we did things like little things like Persona Q and things like that. And then we went on to Persona 5. And I like the characters of Persona 5 for what it's worth too. And I've heard that the presentation from the 3 remake fixes every problem that I've ever had with 3. If that's true, then maybe I would be in very good standing to go back and try it again. But I'll be honest, I started playing a bunch of old games with my daughter. Old games. Like, really old games. We played some Super Nintendo games and things like that, and I started beating games with my daughter again, just because, like, there's so much stuff that she's never experienced. You know, like Mass Effect and things like that. And as we were beating game after game after game, I did load up Persona 3. And it was an interesting learning experience for me, because we start playing it. And we get relatively to about like the 3rd or 4th character. And the next thing I know, she's right there where I am. She's like getting bored with the game to the point where it's not holding her attention anymore. Like, she's on her phone. She's like going upstairs to play it, you know, on her own or whatever and do some dungeon crawling and stuff like that. And like, she's getting bored with the dungeons and she's like, I just don't think I care anymore. And the next thing you know, she's like done with it. You know, she's done with it. And it kind of put me in this spot where I was like, I wonder. Like, I really do wonder. So I go and I get Persona 4 and I put it in. And I give her Persona 4 on my Vita, Golden Edition. She can't put it down. She can't put it down. She plays it all the way through in like a sitting session, you know, like where that's the only game that seems to be in existence anymore. She's just playing 4. And I'm like, that's interesting because I'm not influencing that. I'm watching her have the same response I did. For some reason, 3 is not speaking to us. And she loved 4. So as soon as she beat 4, we played it again on the PlayStation 4 and beat it again. And then she got it for her Switch and she beat it again. And she 100%ed it. She went and got all the summons and everything like that. She loved 4. Now she started 5 and she's a little more than halfway through it. So I wouldn't buy characters from 3. But that doesn't mean I don't want them to succeed. Because if Persona 3 figures succeed, there's a chance that he will make other Persona figures. And those I would be very interested in. So I'm hoping this goes the distance, regardless of how I feel about it, on a personal level. But could just be saying this too. It could be what you were saying. Also, I guess my general is this figure. Also, I guess my general is this figure bad or good-ish standard was if he could put the evoker. Oh, okay. I know. Yeah, I know what you're saying now. Yes. Sorry. I get that. Because if he couldn't, doesn't that kind of like if he can't do this, that would really hurt the figure overall, because that is pretty much a standard. Like, you have to have that. Yeah, I get that. That would kind of be a deal breaker. If he can't do that, that's a level of articulation that you need. Kind of like, I feel like it's weird that the Sub-Zero that they released for the Mortal Kombat line can't seem to actually, you know what I mean? He can't actually shoot. Like, I seen the production pictures, and it just like has him like doing like this and like this tiny pathetic ball of ice. It doesn't look good. And if you can't do what you're known for with that figure, like if Spider-Man can't do a swinging pose, that's a bad figure. Period. It's a bad figure. I get that. It depends, really. Some things aren't meant to be adapted to movie, but other forms of media. Turtles, I guess, can understand because over the years it has evolved to a broader audience. What up, Bill? Happy Monday before Thanksgiving. Yeah, absolutely. Dude, I'm looking forward to it. This Thanksgiving, I actually have a bit of a break from work, like a real break from work. I'm going to lose some money on it. I'm not going in Friday, and where I work, because the situation pans out the way it does, if I go in on Friday, I get triple time. But because the situation played out the way that it did, I'm taking a 5-day weekend. I'm kind of stoked for that. As much as triple pay is big money, it's like an extra $300 on a paycheck. That's no small chunk. I get it. That's nice. But 5 days off with the kind of job that I do, 5 days off is spectacular. So, like, I'm not mad. Yeah. But yes, Thanksgiving. The happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I really hope that everybody has something to do and that it's worth doing. And I hope it's good. I really do. 130s for a figure is stupid to me. So is everything. So is everything. Everything. You heard what I said. Everything. You buy video games? That's stupid. It's a big waste of stupid money. Look, I'm just going to say it. It is. You choose to spend your money on something non-productive. A video game. Good job. And then what? You buy like 40 of them? You mass a collection? Do you play every single video game at the rate that the money would tell you that it's worth? Do you really? Do you complete every game? Do you beat every game? Do you honestly get your money out of every single game? How many times do collectors end up with video games that are still sitting on their shelf because the one game they bought is going to take like nearly 200 hours to complete, and the 5 ones that they bought that they thought they would play in between that, they end up either never playing or it just kind of goes off to the side, or they end up buying a game that takes their attention away from the 200-hour game and then they don't complete that one. Hello, Star Ocean, end of time. Like, it's stupid. And then you could also make the exact same argument for movies and shows. How many times does a series go on sale and you buy the series and it gets put on the shelf and then it doesn't get watched that often, if at all? All collection things can be stupid. We justify it in terms of how we interact with it and whether it be worth it. If it is a series that is out of print and it is your favorite series of all time, if they offered you, and this is not going to be for you, if they offered somebody like me a Star Trek in Blu-ray, all the way, start to finish, whole thing, but they charged me $200, would I pay it? There's a chance I would, because I will get $200 out of that set. I'll get it. I'll get it. If they charge you $700, let's not forget the PlayStation 5. If they charge you $700 for a PlayStation, is it stupid? Can you justify that you'll get something out of it? Will you get, over the course of time, $700 worth of play? Maybe you will. Maybe you will buy that thing, and then at a certain point in time, it will do nothing but collect dust or become a Netflix streaming box. Worth it, huh? You can make this argument for anything. You could buy music at a ridiculous rate, buying every single music thing that you come across with this attitude that, like, yeah, but I listen to all of my music. Okay, what happens when you get up to about 1,000 CDs? That's an easy number. It's more obtainable than you'd like to believe. 1,000 CDs. You really listen to all 1,000 CDs? You really take those, you put them all in like a mixer, and if it's physical media, don't give me this, well, I burn them all to my computer and then I always have all of my songs. Not the same thing. You went out of your way to buy physical media. Why are you not using it? You telling me that you have like a choice 300 or 400 CDs that kind of go into a main rotation and that's what you really listen to, but then that leaves 700 that are sitting over there. Why? What's the point of that? Is that not a waste of money at a more colossal rate than a $100 figure? Now, let's put that into a different form of perspective, because I'm just being fair here. What is one of the primary features of a statue and or a figure? What is it? It's to sit on that shelf. It's to sit on that shelf. And the way we engage with it is not just by picking it up and posing it and whatnot, but we look at it. This is just the truth of the matter. Every time you walk in your room and you sit down and you look across your collection and you see all the memories of your childhood and your life and your expectations and your things and your desires and your wants and your understandings and your personalities, things that shaped you, you get part of that money out of that figure. You do. If you were to buy a $500 Red Sonja statue, and that's your favorite character, and it went in the corner of your house, and you looked at it every single day, even if it was just in passing, you're walking up to your bedroom or whatever, you look over, you're like, man, that's a cool statue. If it's a $500 statue, sooner or later, it is well worth the money that you paid at $500, as ridiculous as that price costs, because that will always do what you wanted it to do. You want to look at it. I see it. Looks good. Okay. Sooner or later, that PlayStation that you bought, guess what it's going to do? Collect dust. And when you look at the PlayStation, you do not get the value that you paid for. That is now a fancy paperweight. You could have bought the shell of a PlayStation and put it there and got the same effect. So I put it to you, collecting a bunch of physical movies, collecting a bunch of physical CDs, things of that nature. Guess what that becomes in the long run? Something that continually loses money and value over time in terms of what you will personally get out of it. People that collect over 90,000 comic books, you think they're reading every single one of those on repeat? You think they're getting their money's worth? Or do you think they have white boxes out of long boxes out of long boxes out of long boxes that just sit? They never dig into them. All hobbies, in one way or another, are a waste of time and money and can be argued as stupid. But all hobbies are justified to the reason that you chose to enjoy those hobbies in the first place. And if $130 is an entrance point to something very specific that speaks to you for a very specific reason, is it stupid? Is it any more stupid than anything else you could have done with that money that arguably is the same level of stupid? Because I don't think it is. Counterpoint. Sorry. I will choose Bastila. AMC was going to play The Sound of Music. I never seen it. My father said it was a classic, but his description of it and low-key making it sound lame made me think it was a really stupid film. It is kind of a classic, to be fair. It definitely is. Thinking about all the possibilities, man, can't imagine if Todd decided to do Pit and all of those edgy 90 comic book properties from the Image library. That is going to be a big deal. I actually been thinking about this for a while, that he said he's going to start digging into Image. We're going to see a Savage Dragon. We're going to see a Witchblade. And if he has access to things like Top Cow and whatnot through the Image collaborations and stuff, because that's like Witchblade, that's playing into Top Cow territory if I'm remembering right. And Image, to be fair, but you get the argument here. That's going to allow him to jump into some really, really cool concept here. Like, we could get Magdalena, we could get Aphrodite, we could get Darkchild, item after item. What a Fathom? Could we get a Fathom figure? Would that be cool? What about the Darkness? Like, dude, this is so big. Like, I know that he's losing the DC license, but if he pivots from that into all this other stuff that he has access to, we could get some really cool off-the-wall stuff that we never thought we would get. I think this is hands down fantastic news. I really do. I'm looking forward to that Epic Hacks Conan. I've already pre-ordered it, along with Bayleet. Even though arguably the Bayleet that they're selling is not my mind's eye of the Bayleet that I would want, but because of the way that they're designed, all they got to do is release a pack with the Bayleet that I want. But regardless, she looks fantastic, and that's good. So yeah, I'm not too worried about that. That Conan looks really good. He looks solid. We are having competitor after competitor after competitor for Conan out here. And not for nothing, but that Red Sonja they released, the more time I've spent with it, the more time I've liked it. Quite a bit, actually. And I will admit that as much as I like the Frazetta Girls stuff, because I do, Frazetta Icons is very good, I am not... How do I put this? I'll be honest about it real quick. It's stiff. The figures that Frazetta Icons makes, they're kind of stiff. You kind of got to really work with them to get what you want out of them. Not that you can't get what you want out of them, not that they don't look fantastic, but they're kind of stiff. You got to play with them. And you always take the chance that they'll break because they are stiff. And you don't want to put them into a position where it can cost you. Because my Tigra did break because it is stiff. I have not experienced that level of stiffness with epic hacks, hero hacks. In fact, to the point that I've done multiple pictures and positions now with Red Sonja that I'm positive I could not do with either of the females currently in the Frazetta Icons line. 100% I cannot get away with it. There's no way. Like, they cannot take those positions. But Epic can. So, like, I'm very excited to see them handling some Conan and seeing where it goes. Because they could become an ideal spot for Conan figures and designs as we move forward. An absolute ideal. They kind of hit the ground running with the Red Sonja. She did turn out to be pretty good. Better than I expected. Because like I said, the longer I've spent with her, the more I've liked her. Now I'm just kind of hoping that that can continue into Conan and Belit. And where do we go from there? Because that's kind of exciting. Like, it really is. PlayStation or N64 is old to me. Okay. I had a babysitter, and her oldest, I think, had an N64, and I broke the joystick on the controller. Kenneth, I believe his name was. He wanted to kill me, had to buy him a new controller. I mean, I wouldn't like you breaking my stuff, so, I mean, let's see. With Persona 4 getting the reload treatment, I definitely wager he might make the Persona 4 protagonist. I would love that. Like that, you have me on board without question. I'm in. I'm right here. Take that money. There you go. Like, absolutely. No Swing Spider-Man coming soon. I'm playing Golden on the Switch, and I have a lot of Persona 5 games and its spin-offs. Dude, Golden is so good, man. I'd play Star Ocean. That $700 PS5 better have a disk drive and a crap ton of games. I want my money's worth. It did. You think I pulled $700 out of the air? $700 was the launch price, dude. Thought I'd pay $200 for a PS5. Reasonable price. Good luck to you. You're a determinate collector. Good luck to you. I would be surprised to see you pay $200 for a PS5 right now. I would. I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm being honest right now. Like, just PS5. No. They're used at like $400, and that's digital version. They're like $500 systems, roughly. And they come with a controller. And that's a disc slim 1 terabyte. The best one I'm seeing right now is $450, brand new. That's that's PlayStation 5 disc console, slim 1 terabyte. But it's still only got one controller. Look, man, I'm sorry, but prices are what they are right now. I don't love them either, but realistically, $200, you're not buying nothing. Maybe from a private vendor, and only because he's cutting you a real deal, because he could definitely get more for it right now. So Sentai is coming to an end after 50 years. Metal Heroes will be taking Sentai's place next year. Yeah, we've heard a lot about that lately. There's one particular fan who was here wondering about you today, and yes, absolutely. It's crazy to see something that's gone that long go dead, but at the same time, like, I'm a Star Trek fan, so, like, I've lived through something that big going dead. I'm really surprised we don't have that many Darkness figures. Now, yeah, I get it's not a ton of the most popular comic book properties, but I'd at least expect some third-party stuff. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? I'm right there with you. I'm not even being funny. I get it. Like, there's nothing. There's like nothing. There's some statues, maybe. I paid $700 for mine. We think that's a lot. Wait till the PS6 is made. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But that's how I see it. Regardless of how we feel about it. Yeah, look, you could say what you want to say about the way prices are right now, but the fact of the matter is that's where prices are right now. So it's either you're in or you're out. And I don't love that. But also, just expect, by the way, since we're talking about electronics are about to get more expensive. If there's something you want, regardless of how stupid you might think it is, you might want to buy it right now. You might want to prioritize it. Because on a personal level, from what I'm hearing, I think because I'm hearing that RAM is going up, like the cost of RAM in general is going up, that is going to affect all forms of electronic stuff that uses processing powers like computers, laptops, consoles, Steam, all these kinds of things. They're all going to go up. We're all going to see, like, I'm shooting in the dark, but assessing what has already happened in the console market lately in the last 2 years, where we've seen prices going up on 6, 7, and 10-year-old consoles. I'm sorry, but I think we're looking at another $100 increase in the next year for stuff that's already out, not even considering the stuff that's on the way. I don't love it, but it seems to be the reality of the market. We are reaching a point where some people's hobbies and escapes are, it's inevitable you're getting priced out. I don't love that. I'm not here for it, but it is the reality of it. So what? Black Friday prices going be this week? I don't know. I am curious about it, though. I've kind of been trying to keep my eyes on some of my stuff like that for a long time before getting to PS5. Need to get on the PS4 eventually. Now that you can get for about $250 right now, roughly, if I'm not mistaken. I think somewhere around $200, $250. But you got to consider that whenever you buy a console, you're not just buying the console. You got to buy the console. You might need to get a better cord because oftentimes they come with a crap cord, and then you also got to get a second controller. So like, there's a buy-in price for just the PlayStation, but you got to consider the extra costs that they never talk about. Usually you need to take the price that the system costs and then add nearly $100 to it. And that's what it actually costs to get in on the ground floor of any console. People asking for cheap prices of brand new consoles or premium figures at this point. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, I don't love it. But we got to be honest about where we are right now. If you want something and you got to prioritize, you got to start looking at what means what to you, which is a big, I'm lucky in that aspect. I collect in a very specific way. When I buy, I cherry pick everything. I'm not a completionist. I'm not trying to get the entire line. It has to speak to me. And anything that doesn't have a story or a reason or something of that nature, it's got to go. Period. If I don't have a personal connection to the material of the thing that I have for a real reason that I have it, it's gone. It's gone. It's got to go. And we've been doing that a lot on this channel where I talk about, like, these are gone. These no longer speak to me. They're out the door. I'm getting my $40, my $20, whatever people will give me, but they're gone. Like, I'm a very realistic collector as to the reason that I collect. Everything in this room, in my collection, has a story, whether it be small, large, personal, or life-changing. And if it doesn't, it's got to go. It has no purpose in my collection. I'm not a completionist. I'm not trying to get the entire wave of something. I'm trying to get what speaks to me. That's important. It's my collection rule that I live by. And anytime that rule even comes close to being broken, I talk about why it's being broken. And I talk about the reality of what that might mean as we go on. It's just the way that I am. And so far, it's done me a lot of favors. And because of that, let's hit the last figure of the night, because I do have something to say about this one. Bastila Shan, KOTOR. This is Star Wars Black Series. This is kind of a big deal to me. Not kidding, I have 2 favorite Jedis in the history of Star Wars. I could do a top 5 easily, but I have 2 that mark the top of that list. 2. Qui-Gon, Bastila. I'm not kidding. I'm not even close to kidding. KOTOR was the very first figure. Sorry, it was the very first game that I got for my Xbox. I was young. I was interested in the Xbox. I figured I'd played the PlayStation 2 to its max capacity. I had not. This was a stupid decision, but I made it. I took my PlayStation 2, every game that I owned, everything that I'd collected. I went up to GameStop. I traded all of it, and I bought an Xbox. And I got 2 games. KOTOR, Crimson Sea. Those were my 2 games. And I started playing KOTOR. And I fell in love with that game. I mean, I was infatuated with how good that game was. To me, I'd never played anything like it. First off, it was Star Wars. But it was from a different aspect. It was a bigger universe, Star Wars, personally. Look, when you watch the movies, I'm not trying to call Star Wars out. I'm not trying to cause a problem. But let's be honest about what Star Wars was. Star Wars was about Luke. Period. Even if you want to add, oh, well, the prequels are about Luke. They're about Skywalker all the way through. All the way. And at that point, we never deviated from what it was. Ever. Skywalker, 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 Skywalker. It's his show. And yet, Star Wars is so much bigger than that. It's a universe so expansive and imaginative, crushed into a tiny little box. Because it has to be, everything has to circle back to Skywalker. And even a lot of games at the time were doing it. Think about games like, was it Jedi Outcast? Is that where you I can't remember exactly what was going on, but isn't Sky, like, I'm just being in generalization here. But like everything keeps circling back to Skywalker. And then all of a sudden this game comes out. And there is no Skywalker. We're not even touching the legacy here. We're not doing anything with it. It is completely removed. It's taking place in that universe, in that aspect, in that mythology, with those toys, but it can tell any story it wants now. It opened the landscape. You could do anything with it. I'm not saying this didn't already exist. We kind of saw it with stuff like, Dark Forces and things like that. But this felt different. It felt huge. And at the start of the game, it very much felt like you could be whatever you wanted. Want to be a scoundrel, want to be a soldier, and I had the assumption at that point that you could move your way into Jedi. I didn't realize at that point that it was going to force you down a Jedi path eventually. I thought that it was this open idea. And I start playing it, and I start making all these choices. And I'm playing on Terrace, and I'm having this really good time and everything. And my buddy's like, so you did that. Could we have done something else? I don't know. Games don't work that way, is the way that I felt about it, right? Most RPGs that we had played up to that point, you're talking about PlayStation 2 and things like that, you make your choices and you go forward, and the choices don't really matter. I mean, let's be honest about it. Even a lot of games like that, they would give you a yes or no, and if you said no, they would kind of find a way to force you to say yes, or the game would not continue until you said yes. Or you would give an answer, but the answer was kind of rhetorical, and regardless of any answer that you gave, of the 5 choices that it gave you, who really cares? You're still going to the same ending. But something felt different. So we had to know. So we stopped playing the game, and he made a character. And then he started playing. And he started making all the decisions I wasn't making. And we started seeing alternate paths early in the game. Not like later, not like we made some choices and towards the end we saw some big changes. Like later on, things like Mass Effect and whatnot would kind of be like this. No, we were seeing what felt like big changes at the beginning of the game. Depending on your playstyle, one of the 3 characters that you picked, the decisions that you made, the interactions you were having, this game felt like nothing else we had ever seen before. And we started loving this game. And then, all of a sudden, we get to the part where we rescue Bastila. She was a certain kind of person. Like, I felt a certain way. Okay? Like, I saved her. She gave me no credit. She gave me a bunch of lip. She thought that she was, like, in charge. I was like, hey, you wouldn't have got out of here without me. And she's like, I did get out of there without you, if you didn't notice. And, like, I started feeling a certain way about the way she was talking to my character. I didn't like her. Oh my God, she irritates me. But then I put her on the team because she had all these toys to play with, all these force powers and stuff, and I wanted to see what that was about. Slowly but surely, while she was definitely an irritation at the start, I started to realize something. She wasn't like other Jedi. There was something weird about her. For them to tell me that she had all this battle meditation and she had abilities that were like far surpassed other Jedis and she was very young, but she was put in charge of this very important mission, I was like, why? Where's her master? Has she already moved past master? Does she not need a master? And then if so, why? Like, how is she already at this point? Because she doesn't seem like she's in control of what she's doing here. And then as the game went on, I started to realize she wasn't in control. Not the way she'd like to put herself out there. She'd been put into a situation she wasn't ready for. And it was taking an effect, a huge effect. She had pride. She had memories of a time before the Jedi. Like before she was a Jedi. She knew about her mom and her dad and her relatives, and she felt a certain way about it. And she still had a level of attachment that was dangerous in some aspects. And she was drawn romantically to somebody that was causing another kind of issue. And the more this played out, the more all of a sudden I started feeling like, oh, she's like a real person. And she's in a real situation here. One that she has to pretend she can handle, but she can't. Then she gets captured. And of course, I'm not trying to give the whole game away, but the game is very old. And there's actually paths that lead her to the dark side, paths that get her killed, paths that save her and become a friend, paths that save her and become romantic interest. And her family line even continues into the Old Republic games, where her granddaughter, if I'm not mistaken, it's her granddaughter, is Satele Shan. Please release a Satele Shan. I want that too. I want that. Give me that. Give it to me. Give it to me. This thing right here, this is a good idea. This game expansion thing where we're doing video game stuff, do this. Do this. Give me her. I saw that you already did the bad guy from that game. So, like, gimme. Gimme, right? I want it, okay? That's what I'm saying. This character really did blow me away. And the more times I played the game, the more times I, like, related to her and understood what was going on. In ways that I didn't really connect with other characters in the movies, because when they would give me a character in the movie, I would get about an hour and a half with that character. That's it. And realistically, you don't even get the whole hour and a half or 2 hours. You get relatively an hour of time cut up across the course of the movie where you kind of learn enough. But, like, this was different. She became my favorite Jedi for a long time. And it also helped that, like, she had a double-sided lightsaber, which was really cool. And it was yellow. Yellow, what was that about? Why yellow? And then I felt this weird connection to her. And this is a dumb thing. It's a dumb gamer thing, but it really is. I felt this real connection to her when they ask you, you take like a Jedi quiz in that game where they start asking you about your personality. And I took it seriously. Like, we each got to a point where we started asking, how would we handle this if we were the actual characters? So we made ourselves, and we had to be very honest about how we did it. Like, I had to ask, where do you think my attributes lie? And then I had to tell him the same thing, like, because he was like, this is how I see myself. And I'm like, no. Like, that's how you want to be, but I actually think your stats line like this. So we were, like, kind of brutally honest with each other, and we made ourselves in the game, and we went through the game. And before I knew it, I got to that part where it started asking me all those questions. And I answered all those questions. And the game told me I was a sentinel. So I was like, okay, I guess that's what I am. So I click on it, and it gives me my lightsaber, and it's yellow. And I was like, oh my, I'm what she is. And it was weird because it like put this whole secondary opinion all of a sudden onto that character where I started like looking at it in a different light. And then, believe it or not, I still kind of stick by that even today. I have two lightsabers, actually, like two more professional lightsabers, and they're yellow. I had the choice. They're a type of gold with a. So what they are is they're a gold handle, and the bottom is wrapped with a leather wrap, a hand wrap, and they're plain, more like Qui-Gon's saber. So it's not something that like I don't like Luke's saber and Vader's saber. I don't like how they hurt my hands. They're not practical. Mine is a little smaller. It's gold. And then it has the leather wrap for my hand, and it's a yellow blade. And yes, I chose all of that. I made that. So I went through the process, and there was like a thing where you could build a saber, and I set all that up. I picked the hilt and everything. So I've kind of abided by that almost my whole life ever since that time. And if I get the choice in any game, I'll usually pick yellow. So like there's also this attachment that I kind of have with her, and then later on Rey ended up with yellow, and I wasn't exactly thrilled about that, but we won't even get into that. It made me feel a different kind of way. But I have a huge history with Bastila. A huge history. And this figure I have wanted for years. I'm talking years. For years and years and years, they have made Star Wars Black Series. And I have said, well, they gave me the little Bastila. Where's the 112 Bastila? We'll get to it, Bill. No, don't get to it. Do it now. Like I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And it took this long, this far into the line to give us one. Is she right? I don't know. And maybe there's an argument to be made that she's not, because I'm looking at the face here and it doesn't feel right. I mean, that artwork, is really cool, but it's like not what I remember from the game. But then you have the question, if the game was to be remastered today and they had the character models that they have like today, you get what I'm saying? Would she have looked more like this? Is this more official art to the idea of how she should look as opposed to how she did look? And just like when you were to make a figure, say you were to make a Chun-Li, should she look more like the video game art, or should she look more like the selection icon art? Because there's a difference. Let's open her. Okay. There's her saber. It is the only thing she comes with. No alternate hands, nothing like that. I didn't see anything in the box, so no alternate hands, no special things, just this saber. And as far as I could tell, that's accurate. Like it feels right. Maybe it's as simple as it's a double-bladed yellow, so like would I have been happy with just about anything? But this does feel correct. Like the way that the saber is, that seems to ring in my mind, and maybe I'm being awfully generous, but it does feel right. And if it feels right, that's a big part of what I'm looking for. So, let's see. She has the 90-degree arms, which we expect that from this line, but they go up enough. I feel like there should be a little bit more. Look, I'm a person. A living person, okay? And my arms don't stop here. See that? See how you can't? I know some people don't have a problem with the 90-degree arms. That's not me. All figures by this point should have the double joint elbow. And if not, they should have something comparable to the Gamerverse Wolverine, where he can get his arms way up there, regardless of the fact that it's a single bend. But it's not a deal breaker. It's not a deal breaker. But it is something to be pointed out. However, since the entirety of the line seems to be stuck at this point, we're not going to call it out too hardcore, okay? Because we expect this from a Black Series figure. It's almost without question that this is the way that it's going to be, okay? And we do have the double joint knee, so there's that. And the boot has a lot of give here, so I don't think we're going to have any problems there. There's a lot of pivot and everything like that. So she's going to be able to take proper stances leg-wise and everything that's going to help her get into stances that work. Even her boot actually turns. I wasn't expecting that. So her boot turns, which is not necessarily the hugest deal ever, but it's nice. And then, of course, she has thigh swivel. So she's got enough in her legs that I don't think we're going to have any problems in terms of getting into certain poses and things like that. Her neck goes way down because it has that double joint where it has the joint there, and then it also has the ball socket on top. So she's got all kinds of head movement and everything. Nothing like that is getting in the way. We've got that here. The costume is pretty much spot on. This is not getting in the way. It's solid enough but loose enough that it's not really a problem. That's cool. All those designs and everything like there. You got butt? You got butt? You got butt? You kind of got a butt. Hair is pretty good. I'm going to be honest. Because of the how do I get this? Because of the oh, I lost where because of the design, okay, of the old game and the graphics as to how they were, this hair might be right, but it's hard for me to say 100%. I do remember the bun and I remember the side. That I remember. That doesn't bother me at all. But this, I'm not 100% sure in. I don't remember if this is right. Like, that's not processing in my mind. I kind of wish I would have looked up some reference pictures to the old art or something like that beforehand. But yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. So I think she's good for what it's worth. The body and everything is basically perfect. That I'm not having a problem with. Aside from we expect what we expect from this line. Okay, there's a certain level of there's a level of quality we expect from the line, and it's not premium quality. That's what I'm saying here. But it's also not like it's not bad. This is floating as far as I could tell, so we could kind of mess with it. We got really good on the torso here in terms of movement that way, but she is not moving forward, and she can move back okay. She's a little stiff. Some of the rest of the line is kind of like that. I'm trying to be as fair as I can here because the figures of this line are actually like this. That's the way they are. Like, I don't expect them to move even as well as the Hasbro G.I. Joe lines move, because they're just not at that level. Not the Star Wars Black Series. They're simply not. But one thing I am liking here, and it's a mild thing, and we're going to see if we can't get it. You see that attitude right there, just in slightly moving her head down? That's right. That attitude where you slightly move her head down, she's kind of got this look like she's done. Yeah. There was kind of a snobbish, I'm done, pride attitude about her. And it very much played into the character that she was, and then revealed to be a real problem as time went on, because she still had a lot of growing up to do. But she was already put in the position where she was all grown up now. But she wasn't. She wasn't ready for the situation they put her in. And because of that, they were asking her to make very specific situations and decisions that she wasn't ready to make, realistically. And they just kind of tossed her to the wolves and then acted surprised and shocked when it didn't quite work out the way they wanted it to. That's your fault, Jedi. That's not her fault. She wasn't ready. So yeah. She'll be able to sidekick and things like that. I'm not having any problems with that. I think, realistically here, there are things I might be able to cry about. But if I'm honest, I think this is good enough for me. And I think, I'm being serious, it's kind of growing on me. The look and design, I like that they didn't go overboard in the body and things like that, because she's not a bombshell. That's not Bastila, okay? Like, she wasn't that kind of character. So I'm glad that they didn't do that with her. She's kind of a stern, like, warrior-looking kind of person. She's slim, she's fit, and that's more proper to the actual design of not just the character, but the actual way that she was in the game and everything. That works for me. I love the lightsaber. The costume is absolutely perfect. If I could get a custom head that was basically right out of the video game in the original box art, this would probably be unbelievable. And maybe I can, to be fair. I'll look up and see if there's been any customs or anything. But in terms of just the base value of what I bought and what it's supposed to be and how it works, that's solid. It is. I'm not going to have a problem with it. And I think because of the way she's designed, there's just enough movement in her that I would actually be able to set her up in her regular fighting stance, where she would kind of take it like this. She would hold one hand and then she'd hold the other hand. She kind of held it down and kind of stand with her feet. I think that you could easily get that pose. I think that's within the realm of Star Wars Black Series. I think she's a good figure. I think there's more they could do, but I think that's subject to the line needing to improve, not this figure needing to improve. And I think that is a fair distinction. That's what I'll say. To the chat. Interesting. Well, let me fix this real quick. Okay. That's handled for the most part. Let me break this back out. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. There we go. There. Let me get this because I have to reset this now because that situation took place. I just set that to there, and I need to relink this so that my actual overlay works there. Now my overlay should be working, and we will go back and kind of run through some of this. How much further do I have to go up here? There it is. That's where we were. For me, at least, Black Friday prices are rarely ever worth it. I've definitely turned skeptical of deals after what Amazon pulls every year. Then we got some talk about that, and I get where you're coming from with that. I get that. I want this highly detailed 40 accessories for all $20, man. Not y'all get no, absolutely, man. I get it. Don't hurt yourself for that kind of stuff. We're always here Mondays, dude. Check back in. Let's see. I remember some dude from Facebook Toy Group who's looking for a mint 1989 Game Boy and wants it priced when it was released in 90. No, it's not. Yeah, it's not a thing. No way. Yeah, I know. That's a level of disconnect in the collecting circles that's just unreal sometimes. Hey, man, 21. Happy birthday, man. Orange and silver for me when I get to pick my colors. Orange and silver. Now there's so many colors to pick from, but like back then, there were only like 4. Oh, yes. Didn't expect the stream to actually extend into my birthday. Normally, I wouldn't have been here this long, but like, we haven't done a very long one for a while. Well, happy birthday to you, man. Absolutely. I don't know what you're going to do for 21, or if you've already done the 21 things, so you haven't been waiting to do 21 things. I don't know, but yeah. Then where's your bourbon? If you're regular poison, don't worry, Seth, I got mead. Also, this is a parody. Also, is this Peroy guy? No, I don't know if he's something real, but he was speaking directly to you, and I muted him for 30 because I don't know what his disrespect was, but it wasn't thrilling me. So, let me move this. I have reached the end. We didn't do too bad tonight, but I'm not looking to open up so much all the time. I got 3 figures out of tonight, and they're all decent figures. I'm liking them, and I can't say that tonight was a bad night. We had a good conversation. We hung out, everything. Absolutely fantastic. So, we will be here next Monday, and I am working on those videos to put out throughout the course of this week and next week. We'll just see how those run. I don't know exactly, but I am starting to get back into a pattern of actually getting things edited. I edit about maybe 2 videos a day, and then I'm trying to release them and kind of stagger their releases. I'm trying to catch us back up to where the live that I do is the stuff that I'm, editing that week, but I'm like 2 months behind. We're getting there. But the lives are not falling behind, and that's like one of the biggest things right now is to just make sure that this all keeps going the way that it should. So, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it, and check back in next Monday because we'll be doing this again. Hold on. that might not be true. There might be a medical thing that's happening Monday, so I'll have to get back. We might miss that Monday, but we'll see. I will keep track of it, and I will, of course, do updates and whatnot on the shorts and things like that and keep things moving, but we'll figure it out. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. I really do. I always do. And I'm going to get out of here.